Welcome to season two of Decoded Dialogues, where tech talks and stories spark transformation. I'm your host, Crystal Fernandez, and today we're digging into one of the biggest shifts happening in AI right now, the move from assistants that respond when you ask to systems that can remember, reason, and operate on your behalf. In other words, AI is moving from reactive to agentic, and that changes everything. So, what happens when the real advantage is no longer just the model, but the layer around it? Memory, orchestration, reliability, and trust. And what does that mean for the products we build, the way we work, and the future users are actually going to want? To unpack that, I'm joined by Alex Marshall, Chief AI Officer at Snap. Alex brings a rare mix of technical depth and product perspective. And today, we're exploring what becomes possible when AI stops being a tool you prompt and starts becoming a system that you can truly operate. Alex, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. First off, tell us a bit about your background and how you got into the AI space.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Crystal. First off, I'm excited to be here, but to share a bit about my background, right now I'm the Chief AI Officer at Snap AI. We're really doing 24/7 personalized agents for sports fans. So you can text it, and it's ever knowledgeable about any and all sports. And sports fans, fantasy, and sports bettors are really loving our product. And yeah, to a bit about my background before that. So I previously had a startup called Taltrix. Where I was the CEO and co-founder. What we were really doing there was enabling like project portfolio management for various types of organizations. We ended up getting a lot into the agentic space towards the end, providing agents that can help with planning for project management, that can help with actually at like professional services during the pre-sales process for the quotes and so forth. And before that, I mean, so agents were there. Before that, I was a data scientist at Genentech, and as well, right before that, I was at the Pentagon with Air Force headquarters. At both of those organizations, yeah, I was doing data science, a lot of like the traditional AI around like using machine learning, statistics to help inform people and resource allocation decision making. So at the Pentagon, I was working with like technical directors in the Air Force headquarters, and then as well with generals there and colonels. And yeah, we were building a lot of advanced models, machine learning models, and so forth that can help determine how they can enable the Air Force to make smart decisions on how they allocate their funds each year, billions of dollars each year across
Sure.
the organizations. Genentech, I was really in the people analytics organization, was doing similar work there for an organization of like 14,000, but then globally a part of Roche for 100,000 plus employees and contractors. And then otherwise, like I goes all the way back to when I was in school. I came out here. I went to Ohio University, studied math, physics, and business there. I interned out here in Silicon Valley, actually with Genentech at the time. That's when I discovered data science, and really it was like, okay, AI is coming up. This is what I want to be in. This is where the opportunity is. And after my stint at the Pentagon, I was able to make my way back, and from there, really seeing a lot of the evolutions of and the innovations of AI in the space, which is really bringing me to where we are now to talk more about the operators and so forth.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So when you look at the last few years of AI, it's been pretty volatile. There's been a lot going on. What do you see as the real inflection point between helpful assistants and true agents?
Good question. So there have been a lot of evolutions here, a lot of multiple inflection points, I would say. We'll focus, I'd like to, yeah, focus a bit more on like with the large language models like ChatGPT and so forth, and how that
Yeah.
type of AI, these generative AI, how it's sort of evolved over time and what the key inflection points have been. So as of course you're familiar with when ChatGPT 3 came out, it was big revolution there. This was a model that really can, generate and respond to you with this vast knowledge base because it was trained on, the entire internet. And really at that point, there was, that was a big opportunity there and value that was being brought to folks, like a really advanced sort of Google search, but can talk to you in natural language and talk to you how you might talk to your friend. But really at that time, it was still this model. You would send these a question, and it would use what it's been trained on to then give you a response. And it was really much like as the user, I was using this as a tool. You were using this as a tool, and still do, but using it as a tool to help pretty much do search, brainstorm. But I was doing a lot of the operations myself. I was doing a lot of that chain prompting. It's like, okay, follow up questions and so forth to get it to achieve some sort of goal that I want. And then from there have been a lot of improvements since to this sort of model, but it's in part of how we're actually leveraging these language models and building like kind of sort of an orchestration around it. And one of the big ones in this as well is it's with this orchestration, but even the training of the models is how they can get closer to thinking like humans and acting like humans. In the sense that they're able to first reason and to think like a human before I respond. And, but then even further, being able to use tools to be able to Google search, to be able to connect to your Chase account and search for various things in there for a user. Being able to connect to enterprise databases and be able to search through and identify with a CRM to find the customer where there might be customer challenges or where there might be opportunities and so forth. And so it's using these tools and then observes its results. And then it's really just iterating from there. So it's like this it thinks, they can act, and they can respond by just sending you text, but they can use tools, they observe, and it iterates until it's able to achieve its goal. That was a big revolution the thinking, the reasoning models, and the harnesses around it. And then finally, it's really with it's like with this OpenClaw and Hermes and Gemini Spark just came out. I don't know if it, at Google's annual conference. And so, really, this here, I know these are a couple of inflection points, but this is really that these agents can now be the AI models, LLMs, they can be sort of operators. They can act on your behalf and really be going 24/7. They actually have like heartbeats themselves, like in the sense that it wakes up, it can do stuff for you, it can persist memory, remember stuff, write down notes, and then go back to sleep, and then just wake up and so forth, and learn in a lot more effective way, self improve in a lot more effective way. So yeah, and that's really where we are now. Where it's like one of the key. This was that this is one of the more recent like big inflection points and that I'm very excited about. A lot of Silicon Valley is excited about. And organizations out here are really heavily investing in the space.
So, do you think that this is driven more by like we're just figuring out what the models are capable of, or is this tooling, or is this product design? Is this something that we're asking for? I think maybe, but I mean, what do you think is really the big driver for it to
Mm,
kind of move in this direction?
That's a good question. I would say I would say one of the big things is that we're seeing these going from that assistant like to more of this agent that can reason, that can act.
Sure.
Organizations have seen a lot of the value and individuals have seen a lot of the like customer or consumers have been able to see a lot of the value with ChatGPT being able to actually be able to do better planning for you, to be able to actually execute on your behalf and so forth. But I think that part of this, and it's kind of the idea that these can become more and more like more than kind of a teammate and agent, but it's someone that can really go out and execute for you, that can act in the background and not have to come to you to ask for like to just notify you of like there's the prices have increased for some sort of trips coming up that you were planning
Sure.
against, but it actually can go and act on it, purchase that ticket for you at the right time, help respond to emails. So it's really that it's the ability to we've seen the value of these agents, but really that I have to be heavily involved still myself. And really like I'm the operator versus like I can empower this agent to then go this agent that's now more of an operator to go and execute on my behalf. So I would say, I mean, there's many reasons, and that this is where we are now. But I would say that yeah, it's really that organizations, individuals see the value, and they want them to be able to execute without always having to be in the loop as a human, which does bring risk, of course. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay, so I've got a couple of follow-up questions then.
yeah,
Okay.
please, please, please.
So you touched on this a little bit before. What changes when the memory of the agent
Yeah,
becomes a core part of the system? Like
yeah,
how does that change with the environment and the
yeah,
AI? I mean, like, how does that because
yeah.
I think this ties into that, and then I have got a follow-up to that too.
100%. 100%, 100%. Yeah, and when I was talking about the inflection points, like this one is a part of that too. That it's really around this harness aspect, where really a harness is like it part of this is like basically how you're or orchestration, how you're giving the agent certain tools and capabilities, that LLM, certain tools and capabilities that it can use when it's going through that thinking and action and observation loop to achieve some sort of goal. Memory is critical, of course, and we've ever seen this. It's kind of like if you, I don't know, it's like if you're working with someone and they just have constant amnesia, like they don't remember what you just said. They don't remember what we
Right.
talked about yesterday. And that really was a gap with some of these, the initial models that were put out and with the lack of these harnesses. There's a lot more to the harnesses, but that's like a big part of
Sure.
this. And, for them to really bring a lot of value, these agents, these operators to bring a lot of value, is it needs to really remember, persist some sort of
Sure.
memory to really act on your behalf effectively, or even, enable you with your day-to-day work with you as a human in that loop. Yeah, so like there've been a lot of evolutions, improvements to the memory systems over time. Some of them are actually pretty basic that are actually like some of the most prolific right now. Really, one of the biggest, I can talk a little bit about how memory works. Does that
Yeah. Yeah, 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 go for it, yeah.
so
Enlighten us, I love it.
So I won't get into like a lot of the crazy technical part, but
Sure.
so with these language models like ChatGPT and so forth, they have like your chat history. And so that's like sort of this really kind of active conversation memory. So it
Right.
can see whenever you send a message to it, it does have the chat history there. So it can see back and it's like this active conversation. It's like, oh yeah, it said that, or the agent, Crystal had said something here. It's like, okay, that's
Sure.
like some sort of, this that short term, very short term memory, like really now. But then if you're on ChatGPT, open a new thread or open a new like session. They used to really, it's like, okay, this is completely blank slate. The LLM won't remember anything from your other conversation or the other one before that. And it's like blank slate every time. So there have been some improvements there or ways that it's essentially just giving the agent different types of tools or even just injecting into the chat history kind of what were other conversations or key takeaways from those so that then the agent is aware of other conversations or even giving it the ability to search through other conversations quickly, which
So
is
you're
interesting.
really refining your prompts then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's really
Mhm.
what a lot of this is. It's like, what's interesting is like, okay, there's that context limit, this
Yeah.
context window, and it's that chat history in the session. And once you get to the end, or once you get to almost 100%, it starts to like not remember stuff even itself. It's slow to
Sure.
respond and so forth. So it's really like a lot of these help optimize that context, that like what's actually given to the agent each time for a
Sure.
response. And there's yeah some somewhat like sophisticated approaches to this, but really it's kind of fundamentally like basic in a sense. One that's really been that even like OpenClaw uses and with Hermes and so forth, and many of other ones, like with Claude Code, all these coding agents, they actually just have a document. Like they use these so they can remember like the current session, the current chat. They can
Mhm.
search and understand other previous sessions you've had with them. They do some other stuff there. But then there's just a document called memories markdown, and it just writes memories into there. So it's like the agent's just told to write memories into here and then to always reference back to it, or that's put into that context window, but it can update that over time. And it's actually like fundamentally kind of, I don't know, basic, like you're just taking notes, but then the agent actually will remember and update its own memory, those notes over time. And there's some others from there, like with skills and agents being able to do their own skills.
So it's curing an agent's Alzheimer's.
And that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's true. Exactly, exactly. And they're not perfect, but there have been a lot of improvements here. Folks have really figured out, like brilliant folks have been able to figure out how to do this um, pretty effectively.
Okay. So a lot of people still think that the best model wins, right?
Mm.
Do you agree? Or do you think that there's a competitive advantage if you move elsewhere? Like if you use multiple platforms? Like tell me a little bit about that. Like what what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, as the chief AI officer at Snap, and with really tech forward, AI forward, agent forward company startup that we have, we use a lot of different models ourselves and different harnesses ourselves internally from an operations standpoint. But then also we use these for our product
Yeah,
operate our sports operator, super intelligent, a superhuman sports operator. And we've tested a lot of different models ourselves on both ends.
sure.
And even the new ones as they come out. There's I would say models, not necessarily the full moat, like these LLMs, like ChatGPT or Gemini. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the full moat. There's just these frontier labs that, I mean, they're really pushing the boundaries
Mhm.
across different metrics, like if you're coding or if this is like, there's some that can watch videos and so forth, and there's different metrics. But a lot of the frontier models they're pretty dang close. They're pretty comparable. So it's like the models provide a lot of value themselves. Like the better ones work a lot better using tools and so forth, or watching videos or acting on your behalf. But there's a lot of other things that are built around these that I think can drive a lot of value and that have been driving a lot of value and that actually can create a lot of that really create that moat. And with the memory, with how you might set up your heartbeats for these agents, and then how they might act from there. How they even self evolve and are able to really learn from you and write it and be able to learn new skills from you. There's a lot of this stuff that's around the model that makes that model better itself. But you can even use an older model and still achieve the same results as like the state of the art.
Are there any that are standing out to you though? Like you're like, wow, this is like
Yeah, yeah. I would say so Claude is very good. So Claude Opus 4.7, the Opus 4.6 models are very good at coding. The OpenAI's latest models and Codex, OpenAI's Codex, they're very, very good at coding too. We use them, all of our engineers use one of the two, but most of us are on Claude right now. There've been some challenges with Claude though. That's separate, the compute issues because they're getting so much demand. So on the
sure.
coding end, those ones are dang good. For other tasks, I mean, there are other sorts of like, yeah, types of task or
Mhm,
ways that
mhm,
you might benchmark a model like Google's Gemini is very, at least their more recent models. I haven't really tested a lot of the Opus comparing, but they're good with multimodal, like actually like
mhm.
looking at images and understanding it, being able
Sure.
to watch video and actually identify characteristics, like even like a sports game and so forth. So those are pretty good at that. Some are like faster than others. Like we do actually as part of my long answer, but for our company, in our products, we actually do use a lot of the Gemini models, and we're excited because Gemini or Google just released their latest 3.5 Flash, and it's
Mhm.
fast, but it can reason well. And that's like this one's a good sweet spot for us. But also, there's other models that can meet like the sonnets and so forth. Another part of this, like some are better at certain tasks than others in
Mhm.
domains and so forth. Um,
Sure.
and then there's the cost. That's a whole thing as well.
Right.
Claude is Claude it can get pretty expensive when you're not on their, like, subscription. Same with, like, Google, and these other models, but cost is a big factor and something we always
Sure.
have to think about on our end.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. At what point would you say when does the AI assistant become a teammate? You kind of touched on this earlier, but I'd really love to like kind of hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So, okay, so I would say I would say they're getting closer already to a teammate in the sense or, like, operator and have been for
Sure.
a bit now, in the sense that, you can use ChatGPT and do, uh project planning together and work with it to help you with, for example, a resource allocation or help you plan for a trip or so forth, for example. And so there's like this aspects of a teammate there in the sense that, I'm able to ask it for like given a task, given a problem, given an opportunity, how it can, given all of that, I work with it in order to help me execute on this problem at hand, like a teammate would. But I would say that where like when that teammate becomes more of an operator is like kind of what I think is like the really exciting part and that it can really get closer to a true teammate in the sense that I can have many different agents that are able to operate on their own and a team in a sense, like a marketer, like
Sure.
a salesperson, a business ops, coding agents, that they can actually go execute on their own and they can go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, so what level of autonomy
Mm,
feels useful versus what's, like, maybe feels, like, uncomfortable or unsafe
I know this
in
is
yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's really comes down to the individual that's using these and or organization. So there even were some okay, so with OpenClaw was released a couple months ago, and then by Peter Steinberger, and it was one of these first like operator sort of harnesses around the
sure.
LLMs and how it was set up like so 24/7 has this heartbeat, has all these tools, but how it was built was really to actually kind of run on your own computer, to actually run on your own computer. And so you like could download it and set it up, configure it, and then you could give it full access to everything. But there's obviously that line there, like, okay, what is reasonable? When do I trust it enough to search for me, respond to email, respond to a text for me, or do any financial decision making? Like I
Right.
that it really comes down to the individual and how much trust you actually have with these models, and then making sure that you have the right permissioning sort of set up that you are blocking it from certain things, or it always has to come to you. There's this concept of human in the loop, which is good.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of value with this, and it's just like perhaps a manager, director, and so forth with their employees. Like there's a big purchasing decision. Okay, well, regardless, even if you have the best decision ever or the best analysis ever, come to me first,
Yeah.
and I can proof.
Ensure the guardrails are on.
Exactly, exactly.
Right. Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So it's hard to say. I mean, I think that there's going to be more and more. I mean, as these models get more trusted, these operators get more trust over time, build up, and that we can have the right guardrails around them with best practices given the situation. That autonomy, people will get more comfortable with giving that autonomy to the or having the agent be more autonomous.
Okay. So 2 questions here. What are most companies misunderstanding right now about agentic AI? And where's the hype outrunning the reality of the product?
These are big questions. So I would say, okay, so for the first, so I would say like one part, I mean, just in general, challenge around these enterprise or small startup or is that we have to make sure that always a level of accountability that go back to the humans. And like we build some sort of agent that's doing something. Okay. But like what human is the manager of these in a sense? Like, and
Right.
something goes wrong, you got to make sure that that person first is notified. That's even a thing too. Like some of these, they're not necessarily fully black boxes in the sense that we can log and trace everything that's going on, that it's how it's
Okay.
acting, what tools it's using, how it's thinking. You get full logs for that, but you have to set that up. You have to set up this tracking, this observability on top of it, and then set up some sort of notification system or other agents that can help monitor these. But then from there, it really comes down to that who's the owner for these agents and how do we ensure that they're, them, that they're accountable and with that as well is ensuring that that owner is able to effectively monitor and improve upon and mitigate risk with the
Sure.
agent that they have at hand. And then, sorry, the second question, what's the overhype around? What
Yeah.
might be overhyped?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, yeah, this is a good question too. What's overhyped is okay. I think this has been like, an issue in general for the last, I don't know, 3, 4 years is that, thinking that these agents can just solve anything and everything. And you just throw AI
Mhm.
to solve. There's a lot of, you have to be very intentional as a, as an AI engineer, as a practitioner, or someone who's trying to set up their own that might not be an AI engineer. You have to be really intentional with first off, is this even overkill for this problem at hand? It's like going back to like just even like sort of as a data scientist, I would always have to like, what's the fit for purpose solution for a problem? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm trying to maybe analyze our workplaces, like skills back at Genentech and the distribution and evolution over time of like our skill sets to help inform how we're doing more skills based workforce planning and recruiting and development. Do we throw a big AI model to do that? Or is it I can do a statistical analysis and some simple stats, making sure that I have the right data and so forth to actually answer this question. Really fit for purpose. Yeah. So there's a lot of leaders out there that really they see and hear AI, but then it's like this isn't necessarily like fit for purpose solution for this challenge. And but there's many areas that there's big opportunity. It's so anyways, I would say the hype overhype in a sense is that just AI can do like these agents can do everything right now. And I would say that there's areas that it makes sense, others that it might not make sense. Right.
Right.
But the key is to be very intentional. And it really comes down to the accountability to the human that's building, deploying these.
I love that. And then how, because we're gonna kinda go back to the guardrail conversation just a little bit here.
Mhm.
How should leaders think about governance as these systems gain more access and responsibility to our data and to our systems? And, like, what what kind of guardrails are non-negotiable, and what should we be, like, really focused on security-wise and in our governance practices?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question too. This I would say that a big part for this governance, of course, is that I mean, it really has to be, domain specific. It has to be
Mm,
like risk, like what's our risk tolerance
sure,
and like the levels adhering to this risk tolerance for first off, or yeah, for just what we would actually when we're creating these models, what they can actually do. Because we can really control that around it. It's like, okay,
sure,
you don't have Google search. You have Google search. You have access to our CRM, but you can just read from it. But you can't go and actually write to that CRM.
sure.
Or maybe you can, and like, if we're comfortable enough with that, then it's like, okay, but you can't email the customer. We didn't give you a tool to email the customer.
That
So there's these levels, and I think it really comes down to the domain, especially, I mean, of course, like regulated, like highly regulated industries. That's another whole nother discussion.
sure.
But yeah, domains from an industry standpoint, regulation standpoint, and then within the organizations in that actual, area of the organization, what's the level of risk associated with the types of capabilities that we give the agents? Um, and and then as well with this is really that sort of audit trail. Live is the key. So I was saying, individual has to that setting these up has to have a lot of intent. Intent is key. You have to plan. It's like, okay, is this fit for purpose? Or what level of risk tolerance might we allow? And maybe there's that actual level, some sort of best practices or real like straight up, government real strict levels and
Yeah,
guardrails that are built into the governance structure. But then from there, we have to make sure that we're always monitoring these agents. And it's just like with humans too. Not that it's like we're monitoring everything, but it's with folks on your team. If they send an email that like upset a customer or something like that, of course, like I need to be aware of that.
sure.
And so it's like it's similar in that sense. I mean, with AI models, you can really like see a lot of what's going on, which is good. And so long as you make sure that it doesn't have the tools or the access, that it's not to stuff that's a mission critical, that's high risk, and
Sure.
so forth, and as well that you get notified. When things go wrong, if it does have access to more and more, like you get notified and there's a real owner associated with these, a real human, and they're, held accountable to this.
So so two more questions kind of around
Yeah.
all of that. Um, tell me about data management
Mm,
and change management, right?
mm,
Like, once
mm.
you implement this, like, what does that look like? What's the disruptors in the space right now? Like, what is happening in those areas?
Yeah, so data management, so a lot of it's still like the traditional in the sense like, we're storing level like certain data, whether it's, internal data from our customers, external data, and so forth. And a lot of the different traditional like databases, SQL, NoSQL. There's some others and this is more on the storage end, but vector databases. There's some
Mm.
newer sorts that are a little bit more newer. Actually, these have been around for a little bit, but more optimized for kind of
Mhm.
like LLMs and other models. But I would say that what comes down with this is that what comes down to it when you're using agents that can read from these, it's just like with a developer. I need to make sure that when I am reading from the database, it's like, I mean, that's not as, I mean, you can read from it. Maybe we don't want to give certain people, levels of access. I mean, there's that.
Sure.
But a big part is writing. So we need to make sure that the agents are, if they are writing to a database, they are just like, as a developer, as an individual typing in, we make
Mm.
mistakes and so forth. So similar sorts of guardrails that are in that actual writing back to the database and so forth. Like, is it the right values? Is it,
Sure.
is this, yeah, and so forth. And I would say that'd be a big one. And then, of course, there's as well, it's like if some LLMs, like, I mean, you don't want to give it the ability to delete a database, like, which,
Right, right. We
I
hear
mean, there's
stories about that all the time.
yeah, in
Yeah.
okay. In the defensive agents or whatever, I mean, it still comes down to that the individual that set that up, they have to be held
Mhm.
accountable, and they have,
Yes.
and as well, they need to be like, they need to plan this out. Like, think about the risk associated with this. It's just like giving an intern the ability to delete your production database. It's we really have to make sure that, I mean, they're all power, like, there's a lot of power that you can get from these agents, these operators, but we have to make sure that we're being intentful, like, we're being smart about how we set this up.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. Ooh, there you go. There you go. Exactly. Exactly. And so, yeah. And I would say, I'm sorry. So there was
We
the,
wanna talk about the change management and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. This is okay. So I haven't been in like a major organized, like a major, large organization, and it's been like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. So I've been in startups for a while now. In change management, I mean, even at a startup level, I mean, I guess I could talk to a little bit even what we've done
Mhm.
in this vein, and kind of think towards the larger organizations as really this is like major initiatives. I would say, okay, so for us, something that our technical team has really helped push along is that we are very our operations internally and influencing as well the business end of our organization to adopt agents in a very, but with like the right intent and accountability. So, like, first is, of course, there was a whole education around this.
Sure.
I mean, I have exceptional and very tech forward and very tech adept co-founders on the business end and the business team as a whole. But one part is it's the awareness of what the agentic systems and these more operator sort of harnesses, what they can even do in the first place. Like, you have
Mhm.
to inform and really understand kind of how these work. And as well, from there, it's like, okay, how can you actually go about setting these up yourself, like empowering them? It's actually been pretty amazing. So this has been pretty, like, I mean, a short process in the sense, but like our business team, like, they have their own open call set up, and they're like, my co-founder Sean, brilliant guy, had major tech acquisitions in the past, and he's tech forward, but he's not a data scientist or engineer by trade. And he's like, I was talking to him last weekend, and he already had an open call set up on his computer, and then
Mhm.
he, like, for personal stuff, actually, to help him with planning out dates with his wife was one of the things.
I
Like,
love that.
it has a huge knowledge base. It's just documents, and like, he brain dump into there, and the agent is aware, and it can search and find and so forth. But then as well, he had set up another ability for the open clause, so that for trip planning, actually, with his
Mhm.
family, and he's able to do it all himself. And so part of that, like, goes back to, it's like, okay, these are like, educating. These are the capabilities of these. This is what an agent is. This is what kind of, when they become more of operators. These, of course, as part of this, what are the risks associated with, like, giving a full computer access versus,
Mhm.
okay, you might want to configure it where it just can maybe Google search and do some other things, but you can put those guardrails around it and how to do that. And then yeah, and then from there, how to actually, build this out and kind of do it yourself and how you can really evolve these over time. It's crazy. Like our business team is building their own agents in their personal life and their own operators in their personal life and at work. Like a lot of our business operations and, marketing and sales, it's powered heavily by agents. We live and breathe that. And that's a big thing that's happening right now and has been for a bit in Silicon Valley with startups. It's like
Mhm.
there's like very small teams reaching billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue and billions of dollars in valuations and growing extremely fast and so forth. I know this was a bit of a tangent, but
No, that's okay.
some of our yeah, so it was a lot of education and as well, being there to bounce ideas off with them, to help troubleshoot with them, and they kind of take the reins from there in a bit. And yeah, as a larger organization, I mean, there's risk associated with, I would say, giving everyone. I mean, everyone being able to create their own agents. I mean, I think it's great that this is possible and that we could get to that, but we really have to make sure that we have that governance around it and that
Yeah,
there's certain things that are yeah that are just like straight up blocked in the sense maybe writing to the customer database like no agent
sure,
can
sure,
do that.
sure. Right.
So there's stuff like that. I know there's a lot more to change management as a whole. Education's key though. I know we know that some sort of phases, like we even, I would say there's like Claude Cowork, which has been a great tool for our business team. And I would say that's like kind of in between being able to do like Claude code or doing coding
Sure.
and or doing like your own OpenClaw. And so we actually had like, and this was in part as well because of these when they were released, but we got a lot of our business team using that, and then we would build them tools that we could give that to that agent for them, and then some of them now like know how to actually they could just write their own tools and add it to these MC, which API basically how the agent can get access, and we had worked with them for example to help with our like social media management. So with
Yeah.
apps, yeah, set up some MCPs and so like APIs for them or worked with them. And now it's like they're using agents like kind of in this cohort to help them manage the social media. But then, yeah, from there, it's like the next level to these. And how do we really get them there? So
Okay.
long
So
answer.
no, that's great. No, I love it. So my last two-part question.
Okay.
Uh, First, looking ahead in the next 12 to 24 months, what will feel normal that sounds ambitious today? And the second part is, what should product teams be building towards right now?
Big, big questions. What would feel normal? Okay. So I can't predict the future.
No, of course not.
I just,
I just
you know,
want your insights.
There's the caveat yeah, it just like caveats associated with this. I would say that there's gonna be a lot more of these operators, and people will be more trustworthy with them, or at least, right, have the right guardrails around them, and, folks having all of these 24/7, agents helping them in all these different domains running in or all these different sorts of tasks or workflows just running in the background. Like, there's some folks out there that have hundreds of these that are set up, and they're just running constantly. But with that too, and so it'll be more normalized, and there'll be a lot more value in the business and personal life and so forth. A big bottleneck right now, though, with this is with the compute, and we're hopefully getting like there's a lot of investments as you know, so like in data centers and energy and so forth, if that's solved for, that really can enable the ability for us to have these many operator agents helping us with anything and everything in work or in your personal life.
So truly autonomous operators.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yes, like there'll be a lot. Yes, but there's levels to it, of course,
Sure.
and semi-autonomous, and really, of course, as having the right intent associated with this. So there's and I would say, I mean, there's a couple, just two more parts to this, like
Sure.
is that there's a lot of innovations right now in what are called world models. These, it's actually the foundational, like it would be a foundational model, so kind of replacing or working with are leveraging alongside LLMs. These are a lot more based on like actual like they learn physics in the training process. They learn a
Mm.
lot more about the consequences of their actions, or and that's part of their thinking process in a
Sure.
more refined way. And so there's a lot of investments there. And these will empower like robots, of course, but then as well, just like language models. And I know this long answer. Another one is with edge device language models or edge device agents. So basically that your phone will have a full ChatGPT within it, and it's actually on your phone, and it can run very fast on your phone. Like not only it'll be faster because it can run on your phone because they're getting more compressed, but they still can operate at a high level with, especially with the harnesses. And then yeah, so it's really like sort of embedding the agents in at your fingertips instead of like over in Google's databases, and you have to yeah.
Do you think that's gonna replace Siri and Alexa and those types of applications then? Is that the goal?
Yeah, so okay, so Siri I haven't heard about the latest news and stuff, but I think was it they were working with OpenAI, but that's the idea that basically like Siri and on any of these devices, I mean, even OpenAI themselves said they're creating an AI phone or rumors that they're making an AI phone, but it's that
Sure.
LLMs on your phone.
Got it.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a Siri, but that's like a lot more powerful, and it's this, and there's risk of course with it too. Like how much access do I give it? How much in
Yes.
your day in life and so forth. But
Exactly.
there's
Right.
there's that balance there. So yeah, I would say I would say that's a lot of like what I see coming. A lot more like autonomous agents or semi-autonomous agents.
Sure. Sure.
They can be robotic too. There's a lot of innovations there. They're going to be a lot smarter. And this is all if we can really solve this compute problem, which there's a lot of investments in.
Sure. And then what should product teams be building
Oh
towards right
yeah,
now? LinkedIn?
product. This is a oh gosh. So I would say, I mean, okay, so that's it matters obviously by domain and so forth. I think
Sure.
really just being aware of and like yeah, being very aware of how the agents work today and kind of the trends associated with it. Like agents have kind of reversed a bit of, or not reverse, but it's a different way of how you build products if it's very AI is the core of this. And so it's not that we have some sort of static dashboard, but it's something that's more dynamic. And
Sure.
so it's that you are building products that can meet, if we're building AI products, you're building a product, designing a product so that user is able to use that agent and to its full capacity, full capability. But then as well, ensuring that we, are building in the guardrails, but also the right infrastructure around this so that we can support even the future of more and more operators, more autonomous aspects here. Uh, yeah.
Great. Well, Alex, I have truly appreciated you taking the time to join me on Decoded Dialogues today. This was such a valuable conversation, especially because it helps separate what's performative in AI right now and what's actually becoming practical. If there's one big takeaway, I think it's that the future of AI won't just be defined by better models, but by systems that can remember, coordinate, adapt, and operate in ways that feel genuinely useful. And with that comes a whole new set of questions around product design, governance, and trust. I think we covered a lot of that today. So, Alex, thank you again. I've really appreciated having you here.
Thank you so much, Crystal. It's been great.
Alex, if my audience wants to get a hold of you, are they okay to check you out on LinkedIn?
Yes, yes. It's linkedin.com/and Alex, the number one Marshall.
I will link your LinkedIn profile in the show notes, okay? So
Okay,
that any of our guests can reach out to you if they'd like to.
please.
All right. So, everyone, if you have enjoyed this episode of Decoded Dialogues, follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Please share this with your colleagues and friends who are working in AI or anyone interested in what's next in the field. We would love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. So, if you haven't already, please leave us a review. Thank you for listening. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.